get this working. Oh, I have to. No. Sorry, I'm really sorry. I was just so is everyone ready?
Wrong one.
Oh, uh-oh. Well, no big deal. Sorry.
Before Peter starts his presentation, we have 3 more weeks, 2 weeks of student presentation, and on May 10th, not May 6th, May 10th, we have a speaker from Trinity College. So, I haven't fixed the room, most likely this room.
Keynote preferences, Peter.
He's a very good speaker.
I tried.
You can swap them.
Can you teach me how?
Just keynote preferences. You gotta flop that, the first.
No, it's not that one.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it is. Flip it that way.
It's like
Play.
Primary.
Is it
No,
not?
you
Oh
just
no,
use
that. Oh yeah.
yeah,
Turns it off entirely.
You go back to preferences. Slideshow. Turn that back on. Go to slideshow.
Go to slideshow.
Yeah, present on second.
Yes.
Aha. Okay, excellent. Sorry about that, guys. All right. Is everyone ready?
Yeah.
Is everyone ready? Okay. Hi, I'm Peter Hajas. I'm here to talk to you about giving good presentations. So what makes people want to listen to a presentation if it's good? If you have lots of information on the screen, your presentation should stand alone without you. Few pictures that are distracting. Themes make presentations exciting. Overstate your claims justified with vague terms, skewed statistics or no statistics, biased opinions or outright lies. This ensures believability. Flashy transitions are best. Sound effects are good. More bullet points means a more gooder talk. Make sure to talk quietly. Loud voices scare people. Be sure not to define complicated technical terms. Your audience is intelligent enough. Everyone loves troll faces. Monotone means reliability. Looking presentable is threatening to your audience. And finally, empty promises are just as good. So I'm just going to take this off. It's not usually how I present. So I was eating pasta. So hi there, actually. I'm Peter Hajas. That's an example of a bad presentation. I'm here to talk to you about giving effective presentations, ones that people will actually want to listen to and care about. So why am I justified to give this talk? I'm just a dude with pasta on his shirt. So I've given a few presentations before to much critical acclaim, and I've been told that they're very good, and I was asked by Morthy and Dave and some other people to give a talk on giving effective presentations. So I've given 5 so far, all of them on Mobile Notifier and Widge, and I'm giving a new one now, so I guess this is my 6th. Kind of stands out a little bit. So first you might be asking yourself, why? Why should I strive to have a good presentation, and why should I strive to have good presentation skills? Well, if you ask me, in your personal and professional life, it's really important to be able to express your ideas and express your ideas eloquently and clearly. It really, really is important to be able to get your ideas out there, because that's how you tell people how you feel, right? And it's going to benefit you significantly. If your boss, a venture capitalist, or even your significant other, if you're presenting something to them, it can really, really help you in that relationship. For example, why I think we should buy a jet ski, or something like that. So I'm going to just teach you a few things about giving a good presentation, and I'm going to get a little bit, some things are going to be mean here, so I'm going to try to not be super mean, but I'm going to be mean. So this starts with being a good person. So as I look around the room, and I'm not pointing out anyone in particular, there are a lot of people on their laptops. And I've seen a lot of people as they use their laptops in RCOS presentations. And usually they're either playing Minecraft, working on building their little castle, or they're reading Reddit or both or something like that. This actually was a hard screenshot to get. The internet's down right now. I don't know if you guys knew that. And to be totally honest, there is absolutely no excuse for you to be on your laptop during a presentation. None. I cannot look around the room and see people who are on their laptops and understand why they're there. If you're screwing around, then you shouldn't be here. And you should, because when you come here, you're here to hear what your peers have to say, right? And part of being a good presenter is respectfully listening to presentations. The only time you should be on your laptop is if there's a life-threatening emergency or if you're in the middle of a job interview, and in that case, don't be here. Leave. I'm dead serious. I find it incredibly, incredibly childish and immature to see people who are on their laptops, not paying attention, and just screwing around. So if you want your presentation to resonate with people, and if you want people to care about it, I recommend closing your laptop and actually paying attention. Next, I also sometimes see people on their phones, and this is another good way to show that you don't care, because usually you're either doing what you're doing with your laptop or just chatting with someone casually on your phone because you don't really care about what the presentation is. That's another way to show that you don't really care, right? And at the end of the day, you should express how much you care about your peers. They're coming here to show you the awesome stuff that they made. RCOS is not a time for you to come here, eat pizza, and play on your computer for an hour, right? You get a lot of money or credit to do a lot of good work, and so we only have an hour meeting every week, and if you can't pay attention for an hour, then I don't know if this is the right place for you necessarily. Next up is to be presentable. So I am a terrible example of this, right? You should wear clothes that reflect your idea. You should look well. You should be ready to present, things like that. Furthermore, you should also show up on time. You know, I came in late and I'm horrendously embarrassed, but I've seen people come in 15, 30, 45 minutes into an RCOS meeting, and some of these people then go on to present, and that's horribly, horribly offensive. And really that just makes your message far, far less more relevant, right? People aren't going to care if you're just sitting there and you just rolled in to clock in, give your presentation, and clock out. That sort of ruins your, the relevance of your presentation. If you're up here with a group, speak well as a group. Speak well as a group. Have each group member speak to their strengths. Don't be doing awkward transitions, things like that. A great example of a reasonably large group that speaks extraordinarily well is concert. I think the concert group did a phenomenal, phenomenal job at having each person express exactly what they did and exactly what they're good at. And I think their presentations are absolutely outstanding. And there's something that I try to strive to be, and something that I think other RCOS members, especially those in groups, should strive to imitate.
Thanks, Peter.
Absolutely, Colin. So next I'd like to talk to you a little bit about lists, which I might be alone in this regard. I have some pretty strong opinions, especially regarding presentations. But if you ask me, lists stink. Lists are absolutely terrible. If you have to have lists in your presentation, either your presentation's bad, or there's a very, very rare edge case when you need to have a list. Let me give you an example. So let's say I was talking about Mobile Notifier Beta 3. I was going to share with you the 3 new features. So it's going to say, you know, on Mobile Notifier Beta 3, we've got a new alert style, a new feature we're calling the alert dashboard, and a new lock screen view. Or, what if I presented like this? In Mobile Notifier Beta 3, we've got a brand new style for alerts. We've got a brand new alert dashboard for if you're keeping track of alerts, you know, that you've received when you haven't been able to tend to them right now. And a new lock screen view to show you how many pending alerts you currently have. You tell me which one's more effective, right? I think that lists are very, very unconstructive, and they don't help out very much. And if you have to have them, make sure that they're very, very brief, 3-4 items at most, very short, to make sure that you verbally explain a lot of the ideas behind the elements of your list. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Going along with lists and the fix for them is you should express a lot of your ideas visually. You should come up with a logo for your project. This took me half an hour in Photoshop, and I stink at Photoshop. I'm much better at Illustrator. I'm not that good. And the logo for your project should not be the default font of your presentation app's theme that you use, because that's not really a logo, right? If you want to go over the edge like me and use an actual logo for your release numbers, that's totally fine. So I have a special logo that I use for each release. This just adds more validity and makes your project seem more legitimate. It will make people care more, right? Because it seems like an actual product. Furthermore, you should express what problem you're fixing, these alerts are terrible, and how you're solving it. And this alert is better. Just in a simple, easy-to-use way, pictures are key. They make things understandable from basic people's perspectives. They allow you to address things very, very well, and it's a much, much easier way to convey the problem that you're solving than just talking about lists of things. Now, some people here are writing a command line app, right? And that's great. So if you're writing a command line app, show a screenshot of your command line app. And this helps you express what you're working on and why it's important. For example, I don't know if this is visible. I was writing a tool called Feeling Lucky. It was I'm Feeling Lucky for your command history in Bash. So I echoed 8675309s from the song. And then I ran I'm feeling lucky on that, and it ran it again. I then found out the next day that Bash and Zish and all these things have a built-in thing called Control R that's existed for the last like 25 years. But anyways, this is an example of a screenshot of a command line app. The next thing I'd like to talk to you about, which I have a very, very strong opinion on, are bullets. I absolutely, absolutely hate bullets in presentations. I equate a bullet in a presentation, quite honestly, to being shot with one. I really, really, really dislike bullets. If you have to have them, again, make your bullet pointed list brief, to the point, and explain a lot of them verbally, not just reading what was off your slide like I did at the beginning. Next is simply to be understandable. You need to, whoops, oh, little snafu there. So you should be understandable. You should express your ideas in a way that non-technical people can comprehend. Because to be honest, we're all very smart people, but we all work on very, very different areas of things, right? And an important part about, especially about being someone technical, like a computer scientist or an engineer, is being able to express your ideas and your projects to a non-scientist or a non-engineer. So a perfect example of this is, let me describe to you Mobile Notifier in two ways. One of them is this: a mobile substrate-based springboard tweak that intercepts SB alert items and more. That's one way to talk about Mobile Notifier. Another way, and this one's a little bit more sort of stuck up, but iOS notifications done right, right? Which one resonates more, do you think, with the general public? Now this one's more brief. In certain people's minds, I know it's not necessarily correct. And it's not as specific, but these are things you can go into in your presentation, in your source code, and your documentation, more technical details. Finally, or not finally, but also it's extraordinarily important to actually have something to show. If we look at your GitHub commit graph and you don't have something reasonably intricate showing that you're making a lot of progress on your project, or if you have a sad face on observatory, you should be kind of embarrassed, right? And you should be able to explain why your project is not as far along as you said it would be. You need to be able to be accountable for your actions, right? And if you haven't been able to get to a certain point for a legitimate technical reason or something like that, that's fine, and you should be able to explain that. But you should never just stand up here and talk about things and talk about what the project will be and things like that without talking about what those reasons are. This also comes down to don't lie. Pretty simple, right? Express what your project actually is. Don't lie about the progress you've made or things like that, or the problems you've solved if you haven't actually solved them, because it will make people think that you're not as legitimate as you claim to be. So that's all I have for you, I think. Oh no, I have one more slide, which is sort of the root of the talk in the last slide. Just talk. If I were to condense my presentation style down to a simple statement, it would be, I'm having a conversation, only this time with one person. Instead of with one person, it's with a large group of people. And because it's with a large group of people, not necessarily everyone will follow along at the same pace. So I talk a little slower, I show a lot of visuals to express my point, and that's it. That's how you should give your talk. There's nothing more complicated than that. There's none of this imagine the audience naked stuff. Just communicate, talk, like you're having a big conversation. That's the best piece of advice I can give. And that's it. I'm sorry, this is the meanest talk I will ever give in RCOS, I promise, because that was pretty harsh. And I'd like to open it up for questions or comments. Thank you.
So it's hard to make good graphics, though, right?
Right, absolutely.
You're lucky you can just use the little iPhone thing and take screenshots of your program. But so I guess it's just screenshots, not necessarily like making diagrams and stuff.
Right, correct. So screenshots help a lot, right? And screenshots are very easy to make. I know I can do them in OS 10. I think you just tap like Alt print screen or something like that on Windows or Linux, and you can just capture the screen and easily show what's going on with your app. And that's a lot more valuable, I think, than just talking about it in text. You can do that too, right? If you need to explain the internals and features, which is valuable. But also, just having screenshots is really, really important. Obviously, it would look a little cheesy if like every screenshot of an app for a computer was on like a fake computer on the screen. That would look a little cheesy. Yep.
With regards to the people who are coding backends, such as myself, you can't really have a picture showing off like what improvements we made, unless of course we want to like show text output or something. So I suppose as advice towards those people.
Right. So I'm trying to think of what things would people rewrite backends for? Part of the things someone would rewrite a backend for was to make it more fast, make it more brief. You guys. Make it a faster, a faster system, more brief, more agile, more intelligent. If you watch the concert slides of when they switch to a RESTful API, because that's all backend stuff, and that's a phenomenal, or at least to what I understand. Okay, I stink at the majority of internet things. So that's a phenomenal way to express like a good backend, right? Like the real world changes. This is twice as fast, and it can be this much more parallel, and we process data this much better. It's a thing that you can explain to regular people. I don't know if Colin has any.
Yeah, I mean, if you're changing the architecture, like you could diagram architecture. I'm sure what pages graphically we did. I mean, if you're just changing like what happens in the contents of like the only case that I can think of when you wouldn't be able to create an architecture diagram is if you just have like one big method and you're just changing the contents of it or something. In which case, I don't really know what to say. You can show blocks of like what format your data is in, like how it transforms into another format or something.
Also, if you could say something like, it used to be 2,000 lines and now it's 700 lines, like that's really good to hear. More lines definitely does not mean better software.
When you're expressing that, instead of having like bullet was 2,000 was 700, do like 2,000 lines arrow 7,000 or.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Express things in a graphical way can get them across a lot better, right? Or if you could show like a way zoomed out view of the source code, what it used to look like and what it looks like now, that can be very, 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 very powerful visually. Any other comments or questions? I really hope I wasn't too mean, but I decided that I'd take a strong opinion in this presentation.
Peter, the Dean of Undergraduate Education knows your name now. He asked me about you. So that means you have impressed him in your presentation.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, don't show him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Show him this. We'll just show you. We'll send him a YouTube link of this presentation.
Okay. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So any more questions or anything? Yep, Matt?
What if your program produces bulleted lists?
That's an excellent question. It's like a catch-22, right? Well, then use lots of drop shadows and stuff like that. I don't know. If you're writing a program to what?
Lens flare.
Yeah, lens flare. You can make it look like the opening to a Star Wars movie. That'd probably be the best. If your RCOS program is making bulleted lists, then we should have a talk.
That's a good question, man.
Any other questions or anything like that? All right, cool. Well, thanks a lot, guys, and good luck on your presentation.